welcome you on board. We're back in. It's fun to have the PPDC come in every Friday like this to talk about the work that they are doing and have been doing. It's quite interesting to know that the radio show Budeshi is taking a new dimension, because they're going to incorporate all their projects and discuss them differently every week alongside injecting pressing issues in the country in relation to the project that they run at the PPDC. Unlike last year when the focus was discussing a project concurrently for several weeks. So this year, it is taking a new dimension. It's better, it's greater, and you cannot afford to miss this. They'll be discussing their project interchangeably at the PPDC. So on that note, this week the conversation will be tilted today on placing the fiscal transparency spotlight on PPP projects. And with me in the studio to help us wade through the issues concerning that is Sam Opia, the program and legal officer at the PPDC. Good morning to you, Sam.
Good morning, Swat.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Good to see you. And we also have Ifama Onyebuchi, who is the program officer at the PPDC. Ifama,
Good morning.
good to see your pretty face. Welcome, guys. All right, so today we'll be looking at the concept, advantages, and disadvantages. With the clear focus on placing the fiscal transparency spotlight on the PPP project. So, let me start with you, Sam. What's this all about? Tell us the scope and concept of it.
Okay, over the years, PPDC, our primary responsibility is to monitor government's finance expenditure. So every year we send out a freedom of information requests to ministry, department, and agencies, asking them for information about the procurement activity, velocity, and procurement run and everything. So, and at the end of every year, to September 28th precisely, we do our FY ranking to rank the responses of all those MDAs. So now, this year we wish to expand our scope, like we want to extend our jurisdiction. The way we deem our searchlight on normal and traditional procurement monitoring, we want to carry same to PPP project, that is public-private partnership. So over the years, it's a settled fact that no government can carry single-handedly the burden of infrastructure in our country. So, according to World Bank, the Aspen World Bank research last year, they stated that Nigeria has committed over 30 billion USD in infrastructure alone. So, it is very, very important that we, the citizens, participate in such activities to be able to know what is going on. So, however, in 2005, we have the registration that is Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission Act of 2005. So, in that act, Section 14 established a body to regulate infrastructure projects in Nigeria, and that the section says that there shall be Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, to be known as the Commission. A body corporate that can sue and be sued in this corporate name. So if you go down to section 20 of the same act, it categorically itemizes the functions of the commission, which include 1, supervise and monitor PPP projects all over Nigeria, to have in their custody all PPP agreements, and to also carry out some other activities as prescribed by the president. So now, we leave it open as to how much are they doing with those projects. Ordinarily, they are supposed to carry us along in terms of what does those projects, the procurement stages from beginning to the end. Because according to the Act, the whole concession agreement is really domiciled in ICRC, that is the Commission. So, and they have the responsibility to display and upload this information timelessly for the public to know what is going on. Ordinarily, PPP is all about government, that's the public. PPP is all about government, that's the public, coming into partnership with the private organization to carry out a project, because government alone cannot do it. If you look at other jurisdictions like developed world, like United States, Europeans, and everywhere, they cannot do without PPP. And one of the major challenges we have in Nigeria one of infrastructure deficits, and we need to address that issue if we want to move forward as elections.
I mean, looking at the amounts that you talked about, over how many billion naira that has been 30 billion.
USD.
I mean, and then also looking at the infrastructural deficits, and you know that it's pretty important that you put your spotlight as regarding
sure
transparency
that
and
these monies are
accountability
used.
with that. But Ifeoma, why is this very important? Why is this important that we monitor and ensure that there is transparency in that aspect of it?
Thank you very much, Swat. My colleague Sam has actually done justice to the question, and he has given overview of what PPP are and why people should also get involved. So I'm also going to come from the angle of our civic responsibility as citizens. He rightly pointed out that infrastructural deficit, necessitated our government to come into partnership with private sector to curb that issue and then promote infrastructure in Nigeria, and also help build expertise and also utilize the skills and expertise from private sector to provide goods and services for the people. But one thing about this is that the end goal, the people at the end, the people this should be to their benefit are we the citizens. So it still comes back to a civic responsibility. And like he said, we have been doing this at PPDC, and we've been mobilizing, training people, mobilizing them to track public resources within their location. But now, looking at the complexity of PPP in Nigeria and the huge sums that the government also put in this, and one thing again is the duration of timelines of that, so some of them last for 25 years, and at the end of the day, we were just having this discussion. We find out that it looks like our future and the future of our kids are tied to this kind of mortgage. So it's also good that we as citizens get involved, know how these projects are also executed, and also understand how to engage, participate, and also make sure that the government does what it's supposed to do, and also the private sector, and also most especially that the goods and services that are being provided are being utilized, that there are impacts, that it's not just spending money that are not reaping benefits, or people are not reaping their benefits. So that's why people should get involved and also know what happens around us.
Okay, and it's interesting, to know that the public-private partnership project cuts across various sectors, that is health, education, transportation, water, telecoms, and energy, and much more. Isn't that too big for you guys to, place the spotlight on, or you think it's a possible venture?
Yeah, it's possible. We are not doing it alone. We are bringing information to the public so they can equally participate anywhere you are in any part of this country. So you probably have the right to participate. You can make your request. The Section 1 of Freedom of Information Act has given you that power to request for information. Right? I'll give kudos to ICRC, the Commission, because they have a disclosure for, platform on their portal. So if you go to that platform, you open their website, look at the title bar, you get to see a link that will take you to the list of projects that are ongoing. In as much as I appreciate the fact that those projects are there, but I still have some reservation, because we are talking about physical transparency in projects. Yes, it's true that you can see the figures that are tied to those projects, but how do we measure the performance of those projects? Because when you check the information in its entirety, when you get to the stage and the status of the project, they will tell you something like not available, upload that when it's available. So stuff like that is a problem. So you out there, you can't say that this is actually going on. Let's say, for example, I had to when I was looking at the project, I saw my Garki General Hospital. So the project was awarded to a private company in Garki, and their parent company is there somewhere in Hamburg, Germany. It's supposed to run for like 15 years.
Yeah.
So now, and it costs about 360 something million in Naira. Now, we don't know how much they've recovered at the moment. Yes, I acknowledge the fact that the contract agreement was also on their website, SCLC website. If you please download them with some PDF format. So when I was, the first page of the document says something like, this page is kind of, this document you're looking at is redacted, like it has been edited to a reasonable extent according to what they believe should be there. So if you edit contract agreement and you upload it online, so how do you want me to understand the stuff you omitted from that place? How do I know if the project will benefit the people? Now, it begs the question as to if those agreements there are good enough to encourage people to speak volume about fiscal transparency PPP projects. Now, I can see the project figure. I know who are the contractors. We know the duration, 15 years. But how much we realize for them at the moment, we don't know. How do we know if 15 years is too much for a private company that people to be invited to carry out those projects are not reaping from us? Like my colleague actually said, how are we sure that we are not mortgaging our future to these people?
Sure.
To me, 15 years is too much. 360 million was what private company invested in that hospital. So for 15 years, how do we measure again? How do we measure disadvantage? Now, the contract document should have spelled out all those stuff, but they clearly stated on the first page, the redacted document. That is to say, if it's 24 pages, it has been reduced to like 15 pages. So it's a problem. It poses a very big choice. Fiscal transparency.
And I was going through, still part of your tweets, where make mention of the fact that in 2014, which is actually during the last administration, that Second Niger Group was actually awarded to US Federal for the total sum of 108 million naira and was supposed to run for a period of 8 months, but was never completed. Last year, October, surprisingly, the VP announced commencement of construction of the Second Niger Bridge, for some 2 billion according to the media and all of that. And you just get to wonder, I mean, what happened to the first tranche of money that was allocated to that and stuff like that? So this places the importance of monitoring things like that and actually ensuring that there is transparency in that sector, because a whole lot of money, is allocated or appropriated, and then it just goes into thin air, right?
Yeah, I believe a whole lot of money has gone into that Second Niger Bridge, but at the moment we can't say how much. Like I remember till time 2014, during good luck, the Great Northern region, the contract was awarded to Jos Berger in the tune of 108 billion in naira. So Nigerian government is meant to contribute 28% of the total sum.
Okay.
Then 72% will be left for Jos Berger. So the whole concept is for Jos Berger to design, finance, build, operate, and transfer. So at the moment, it was supposed to run for the duration of the time frame to completion of the project is just 48 months. But it's very, very unfortunate that at the moment, from 2014 till now, we are like 5 years and counting. And I'm pretty sure that the project is still at the alpha stage. So what has happened all this while? We have so much news about the Second Niger Bridge. Money released here, money released there. We don't know what's going on. Even on ICRC disclosure platform, I checked information on Second Niger Bridge. I didn't see anything. Maybe if I go back this morning, I will. But I've been checking, I did not see anything. So it's very difficult to ascertain what is actually going on. Have we actually contributed money on our own side, the public and government? How much has the local invested in those projects? And it is a very big situation in Anambra now, because the first Niger Bridge itself is in a serious state of disrepair. Yesterday, a honorable member in the House, they moved a motion, Honorable Obinna Chidoka, on the deplorable state of the first Niger Bridge. So, and after expressing dismay and everything, the House adopted the motion and they instructed Federal Minister of Works to do something about that. And they also instructed the same ministry to expedite the process of Second Niger Bridge. Now, how do we know the extent they've gone in carrying out those projects? We don't know. This is the 5th year now, I guess. I don't know how much it will take us to construct that bridge. How long it will take us, because it's confusing. If you look at the longest bridge in the world that's located in China, that the bridge spanned across Jiangsu Bay in south coast of Shandong Peninsula. That's in northeastern part of China. That's the longest bridge in the world at the moment. But it only took Chinese people 4 years to construct. So according to Chinese state-run media. So why is our road difficult? And it's about 27 miles.
Wow. So how is this child's play compared to
So
that?
now we are talking about second Niger bridge in 2014. This is the fifth year now, still at the alpha stage. We are still struggling to maintain the first Niger bridge. And one day it will collapse with something is wrong. And it's very, very terrible. And each time you hear on it that money has been released, we've contributed this to that, but we don't know. We need to see the contract document, we need to see everything. They should give us accurate reports. We need to know what is going on. If we are to terminate that the contract with the contract components, let us know. We move further ahead from there. Because at the end of the day, I realize that this project will not end up with us. And they won't do it again. And the consumers are suffering. These are taxpayers' money. So we need to know what is going on. So we'll be able to contribute our own quota. If it's working out for us, fine. And the issue of your beggar managing the project after construction for 25 years, that means that there should be a toll gate after construction. So every car that applies that route will pay at least 100 naira. I don't know how much they want to put after that. But for 25 years, collecting toll free on that bridge.
Indeed. So, before this year, right? You guys intend to go. You intend to stretch it a little bit further than the normal FOI rankings, the FOI rankings, right? Can we talk about that a bit?
Yeah, so for the traditional procurement method, we
Yeah.
rank public institutions based on their compliance with freedom of information. But for PPP, we intend ranking the projects because already, just like you rightfully pointed out, the information are already there on ICRC's website. So what we need to, how we come in here is to rank the project. We can just select some project that already has been executed, then look at how they performed and how the project has been done to make sure that it met the required standard, and also that people have already started utilizing them. So that's basically what we're going to do for the rankings.
Okay, so this morning I have our friends from the PPDC talking about placing the fiscal transparency spotlight on PPP projects and stressing the importance and why you as a citizen also needs to get involved in the whole process. I mean, PPDC cannot do it alone without collaboration and cooperation of citizens, so that we bring to the fore issues of transparency and of course ensuring that look, these projects are carried out fully for the benefit of not just the government but for us, so that's why it's important that you and I jump in on the bandwagon and also get involved. Sam Opia, program and legal officer of the PPDC, have been speaking very, very eloquently on that alongside the former. Now it's time to get you on board and have your contribution and thoughts. If you have any suggestions, if you have questions and need clarity on any area of the discussion so far, get on board and call us up on 0946000951 and 08095974869. You can also dial 0803-1230293. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Swag, hi, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you.
Yeah. My name is Komurika Olinawa.
Welcome, Karen.
I'm calling from Constituency Engagement Initiative.
All right.
I just have to commend your guests in the house for the good job you've been doing because you're monitoring their activities, you're monitoring the activities of the NBA, pertaining to their ranking and performance in terms of budget and contract and project implementation. But the new thing now is all about the public-private initiatives of the government. And I think what we have to do as a Nigerian is for the guests in the house there and their NGO and other partners to go beyond that region, go out to get of Africa and let Nigerians know the job, the good job that they are doing. So it's going to be a lot of collaboration. Because we're able to use this platform to ensure that most of the people in other parts of the country can work together with them and be giving them the actual information and the actual process of the implementation of the project or the contract they give it to either indigenous company or any multinational or any international organization. And the basic thing is that I want to just appeal to them and ask a question. The Constituency Engagement Initiative is an organization that works in the area of the project of constituency and development has to be taken into priority. We want to partner with them and we want to see what we can contribute to exploit the opportunities together to provide them information. At the same time, use part of their resources to benefit our members that we need to use as an opportunity for them to reach out to the larger society. But we are not going to end there. Even the FIO, the Freedom of Information Bill, a lot of people have been saying a lot of things about it. But if we can able to get the kind of interest as the current permanent voter card legislation, I think we are going to have enough information and it's going to be better for Nigerians and African Nigerians. I see out that now the people in terms of public-private initiative of the government, they should not just limit themselves to the government alone. And for example, it's just of the society and NGO that have interest on how the ad-end money of Nigeria has been spent. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I thank God that the God will continue to be blessing the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Mr. Kaide, or Comrade Kaide. Just called there. You want to respond to that?
Yes, we would. Thank you, sir, for tuning in and listening to us. And we also shared your thoughts in this regard. So for collaboration, when we started this work, we track public procurement resources basically here at the federal level. But as we deepen our engagement, we found out that public procurement in Nigeria is so huge. A lot of contracts are awarded, and like 90% of them are being implemented at the state level. So there's also need for, and there are a lot of civil societies who are also tracking public resources. And I also have the opinion that no one entity or an agency can actually do this effectively. And that's why we started broadening our engagement, making sure that whatever we track and our reports are being disseminated to the public for them to participate. But the key thing there is data. Without data, you can't effectively participate in the entire process. So recently in 2018, we have we sent out calls for volunteers, for people, for Nigerians like us to come on board and then come up, be trained on how to track public resources using data that's already accessible, because we also developed this tool, the civic tech tool that it's an open contracting tool where we publish all data we collect over time from FDAs using the Freedom of Information Act. So now what we want to do is to train everybody, the volunteers who wants to work with us, to engage the data and then start tracking public resources. So it's no longer here at the federal level. And just like I say, 90% of this project that I've been awarded here have been implemented at the state level. So that's the kind of collaboration we want. So while other civil societies are doing, their fantastic job, there's also the need for people to start, measuring this impact within their local communities and then be giving feedback to the federal government. And of course, the Nigerian government is also in the process of, developing the Nigerian Open Contracting Portal. And if peradventure they have a feedback mechanism on that portal, people can, from everywhere they are, channel feedback on the impact and status of projects within their locality to them. So for partnerships, of course, we look forward to people who also work with us, in the areas of tracking public resources. And so I'm going to drop our number probably after your call.
All right. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Okay. Nobody's there. Call us back if you are listening. Thriving Man from Kubwa on WhatsApp portal sends this one. So please, do you have the authority to monitor monies EFCC has recovered since its inception? I don't know. That is part of that's part of what you're doing right now. But that's his question.
Okay, for monies, for us, we are procurement monitors. We track public procurement in Nigeria, just using the FOI to track public finance expenditure. So, but and again for EFCC, we had a meeting with them, but based on feedback from our monitoring activities. So we channel them to them. We channel our reports to them as anti-graft agencies. But in terms of monitoring assets and money repatriated from the Western world, we've not really done that. But I'm sure there are a couple of other civil societies that are also working in
Involved
this
in that,
area.
right? Okay, interesting. Let's take one last call. If you're listening and you're still interested in adding to the conversation this morning, call 0946000951 and 08095974869 to ask your questions, to make your contributions, and to also see if you have any gray areas you want to clarify there for you. But you were talking about mentioning your number and probably all the information people need to know to contact you.
Okay, our phone number is 070 666 18896. I'll just take that again. 070 666 18896. Then you can also send us email at ppdc at procurementmonitor.org. ppdc at procurementmonitor.org. We look forward to your calls and receiving your notes of partnership.
All right. So if you want to partner with them, I hope you got that number down and also that email. And you can write them. They'll definitely respond to you because, like the former said, partners, volunteers are. The door is open to you because we're all citizens and we're all stakeholders, and we need to join hands together to ensure that the work is done. Well, that's how it's been today on Budeshi, talking with Sam Okia, the program and legal officer, and Ifeoma Onyebuchi. But before you go, do you want to give your last words?
Yeah, transparency is the key if we are to move forward as a nation.
All right, and Ifeoma, any last words?
Yes, we should understand that our civic responsibility is also to monitor, hold our government to account. It's not opposition. We should participate and make sure that we influence the outcomes and actions of government. And it's only in asking questions, and only in tracking public resources, just starting from our own domain. Ask questions about the bridge, just like Sam said. A lot of people live in Onitsha, and you're seeing the bridge. So look for information, ask questions about this, and in acting collectively, I think it will kind of establish that public discourse around fiscal transparency, and also help the government to also check some of the inadequacies that goes around public finance management.
All right. Placing the fiscal transparency spotlight on the PPP project is very important we've talked about that. We explore the issues, the concept, and why it's very important that we all get involved. Thank you once again, Sam and Ifeoma.
Thank you, Swat.
Look forward to having you again next week.
Yeah.
Maybe not you guys, but
fantastic people.
Yes, indeed. All right, guys. I'll come back after this short break, and hopefully I'll get both of you on the line and talking some more about some. Stay here. It's Morning Crossfire right here on 5.4.